Speaking of the watch that you've been researching for 5 hours a day, what is your grail watch? So the ultimate single watch if you could only have one, money wasn't an issue.
Ooh. I guess I would probably pick something maybe in Patek. Yeah, like a Nautilus kind of with some additional complication on it. Like not just the plain one.
Yep.
If I had that, no money was an issue, didn't have to wait 50 years, then yeah, that's probably what I would get.
Good choice.
Yeah.
But you, Raga?
For me, I know there's a lot of premium brands out there that, position themselves at a price point higher than Rolex. But for some reason, Rolex has always been that end goal, that target for me. So I think I would be happy with any sort of Rolex per se. But if I had to pick one, I really do like what they call the John Mayer Daytona with a green dial and the chrono. I really love that. So I think that would be
Daytona was really cool.
Yeah,
too.
Rolex Daytona I would be so content, so happy.
I would just want that white one, the classic white
the
one.
Panda.
Yeah, the Panda.
Yeah.
Both very good choices. So we'll quickly review a couple of pieces that we've been talking about today. We'll maybe do 2 each, just for time's sake. Just want to know, as Rago pointed out, story behind it, why you got it, what appealed to you, and anything else that you can guys kind of think of. So if you want to start, Philip, one that we're gonna discuss.
So first one, probably my Seiko 5 GMT diver. Can't remember the reference number.
Not important.
You put it up on the thing, but this one was commemorating, I guess. I never really got myself a watch for getting into medical school. So when I finished the first year, I think it was first year, we went out. I wanted to get a watch. And initially I had planned to get a Tissot PRX. I didn't know which one. I just wanted to go into the store. And I just had like a $500 price budget. And we went into store. I went in with Raga because I wouldn't be allowed to get a watch without Raga.
I just like to be there.
Yeah. And like, I just wasn't I didn't like the 40mm one. It was a bit too big for me. The 35 is a bit too small. So I was kind of iffy. And then I was like, let me just try the Seiko. I knew it was a watch that was there, but it was like $800. So it was a bit, or $850. It was a bit out of the price range. $875. And I was like, let me just try it on, see what it looks like. And then as soon as I put it on, it was like a halo coming out of it. It was like, this is it, like so beautiful.
Yeah.
But I was like, damn it, I only wanted to spend $500. And then, the feeling that I got trying that on was well beyond what I got trying a PRX. And I would hate to have just like bought something for the sake of it and then not be happy with it.
Yep.
So then, started looking at that one, asked them what the best deal they could do. And they brought it down to around 600 something. So it wasn't too far off like where I wanted to spend anyway.
It's a pretty good discount then.
Yeah.
875 to 600.
Yeah, or 650, I think 660, something like that.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, and then I was so much happier with that because I liked the way it looked. It fit right. Still was the right occasion for me. And yeah, it just feels like that few $1,000 watch. Like it feels way more than it costs. Not that matters, but it just looks really nice for me. And so that was the cool story with that one. Especially that it was like unexpected. So yeah.
And just before we go on, these watches that were bought to commemorate something special, are you guys going to hang on to these forever? When you guys are high-flying consultants and, medical directors of here and there, and the money's not a factor at all, you guys going to hang on to these ones that you've...
I think I am, especially if it's something like that. Firstly, because of the occasion. And for me, that watch is one as well. Like, if I do end up, getting these awesome pieces later on, like Rolex or whatever, I feel like I'm not going to wear them every day either. So you kind of want something like this Seiko that you can just wear on a night out and not care about knocking it on a table or not getting worried about someone potentially trying to steal it. You know, if anyone looks at a Daytona on your wrist, I'm sure you're a target for the right person. So like, you still want to have these pieces that you can wear and not worry as much.
Yep.
Very true.
Yeah. But in saying that, actually, to get this watch, we don't have to talk about it, but Raga will know I actually sold one that I really liked, but I just wasn't wearing as much.
Yep.
So I think, yeah, not necessarily holding on to them just because you want to is also not a great thing, in my opinion. Like, I think if someone else will wear it, get more use out of it, be happy about it,
Yeah.
get rid of it and get something that you will wear. So, yeah.
Yeah, rather than like the hoarding mentality.
Yeah.
That some
You're going to
of
have
us-
about 70 watches very soon. So one comes in, one's got to go out.
Yeah, it's good. And I learned that from Nuran. I think he sort of inspired me. It's like now I've had a really good look at my collection and been like, oh, is there anything that I might potentially be able to dispose of? Because if it's not being used by you, that deserves to be used by somebody else. Otherwise, it's a disrespect to the piece.
Well, and that's the beauty of a watch, right? Like, yeah, some will lose value, some will appreciate, but there's still going to be some value in it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's a device to keep time, and it's got metal and different
and it's
substances there
got
that
a purpose.
are worth something. So
Yeah.
keep telling myself that.
Yeah.
Let's take us through one of yours now, Raga.
Yeah, sure. So, once again, the one I'd like to talk about is a watch that I got for my graduation. So, my graduation from medical school was a big event to me because of the ordeal that it took to get in and then finally complete the 6-year journey. And my lovely parents, they wanted to buy a watch for me to commemorate the occasion, and they sort of asked me, like, you know, what I was interested in and so forth. And we were speaking about watches growing up, and, you know, being from an Indian background, for some strange reason, Rado always used to have a huge command of respect and recognition in India. I'm not sure why.
Must have sponsored the cricket at some point or something. Legit, I reckon.
Possibly that, or like just the materials that they used. It was very shiny, glossy, and I think being from the Indian subcontinent, like Indian people, you know, like to wear a bit of gold. They like to wear shiny things. It's a bit of glitz. I wonder if that sort of subconsciously influenced me.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
And I've seen a few family members wearing Rados at their weddings, and uncles wearing Rados and things like that. So I think I always had that in the back of my mind. And it was a reasonable price range. It wasn't, you know, $5,000, $10,000. It was, you know, sub $3,000 essentially. And it was, it's a black and gold Rado Centrix. It's chrono as well. And it's a gorgeous piece. I think it's got some high-tech ceramic that's scratch resistant. It's got a bit of titanium as well in the links as well, which is really nice. And I really value like good craftsmanship. So also serving a purpose of telling the time. It also was a beautifully crafted watch with very high quality materials, which I really liked as well. And it's not a watch that I wear all the time around. I'm sure you know, like I've only worn it like maybe 5-6 times, special occasions. So I still reserve I think it's almost disrespect to the watch if you start wearing it every day because you bought it for a special occasion. Now I wear it for my friends' weddings or my friends' engagements or a hospital conference or something like that. So I try to reserve it as much as I can for special occasions. But at the same time, I also try to wear it because if you're going to put it away in a box and not wear it at all, that's also a waste of the piece as well.
Yep.
But yeah, that's my first proper luxury watch to commemorate a big occasion.
Yeah, that's perfect. It's, you know, one of the biggest accomplishments you'll have in your life. And Philip, you're not far off either, so definitely worth. Well, thanks, Mum and Dad, but I'm sure they'll get it back at some point.
Yeah, thanks to my mum and dad, obviously. Like it, and I'm always never gonna like these kind of watches. You can't get rid of. Like they're yours, and they symbolize that spot in time. So it's gonna be with me forever. Yeah,
nice, man. No, that's a cool summary of that. And it's funny how you send me that meme, and I've seen it so many times of where you buy a watch and you think the chicks. They're gonna we get so much more respect, and it's
like a Patek on that or something.
Yeah.
It's never the case. It's the same as sneakers. It's the same as clothing to an extent, but yeah, you're buying it not obviously for other people, hopefully not, but the respect is usually with other guys.
Watch heads.
Yeah.
It's like every time I buy a watch, it's like, oh, what would Naran think of this? It's like, would Naran like this?
It's a good way to vet any silly purchases.
Yeah.
We'll break it up before we do the last two, but worst purchases.
Ooh.
I've spoken about mine. What do you guys think? I'll give my one. So
Yeah, go ahead.
got some money from school. It was kind of a bursary for sport. So it's cashed up coming out of year 12, cashed up
Hey.
back in the day. And I can't remember which celebrity I was trying to copy, but anyway, I wanted like a diamond, fake diamond, obviously, type watch. I wanted something iced up. So I remember I went to, it was DFO, Wallace Bishop, and there was a Mark Echo watch. Now, Mark Echo does not make watches or good watches. So you can only imagine. This thing was gold. I could probably put a photo up of it.
Yeah.
Back then, so I was 17, I reckon it cost maybe $600, which is a lot of money.
Yeah.
For a 17-year-old back in that
Yeah.
time.
So, and that was, that would have probably been like 40% of my net worth at the time. But I needed to have a fake diamond watch. So I bought that. I reckon I wore it 5 times. And we're talking, 15 years later, I've probably still worn it 5 times. So that was the worst watch I've ever bought.
Yeah.
Because it just was so tasteless. There wasn't really a story behind it. I just wanted to look like a rapper.
Do you still have it?
I still have it. It's in my cupboard.
Okay. You'll have to
Deep.
put it out after this.
We're gonna have to have a look
I'll bring it. I'll bring it up for you guys.
Yeah, that would be good.
But yeah, worst money spent. One, because I just financially was not in a position to do it.
Yeah.
2, it looked horrible. And 3, no real good story behind it. But I guess the good story is that it has no good story. I just bought it and regret it.
It's a story in its own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I probably don't have like anything that I consider a worst purchase. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In saying that, there are like some watches before I guess the taste has evolved that I would just never wear now. And they are mostly fashion watches, but I feel like even for a fashion watch, they're like they're not even very fashionable, if you want to call it that. And yeah, I guess the one that I sold before this would, like, for me, that was like a size thing. So like, I guess my taste has evolved in terms of knowing what sizes work for me, and even just like dimensions, like not necessarily based on numbers, but just like trying a watch on before committing, and just knowing what looks good for my wrist, what my taste is. So there's definitely watches that I wouldn't wear anymore just because they don't really fit me well, or I'm not comfortable with them. Raga often says like a lot of watches I try, like they look really good, but they just like inherently don't feel good on my wrists, even though they might look good to other people, and I would just feel like off wearing that. So there's definitely some watches there that I have like that, but nothing I consider like horrible purchase.
It's a good point though, because like you say, when people look at dimensions, some watches fit differently. Some are 40s and some are different 40s.
It's the whole lug to lug thing for me. Like if it's too long, it just overhangs on my skinny wrist.
Yeah.
Even though the number 40 might be like small. Yeah. Like it'll just hang very weirdly, and
it looks different on different people. It's to do with the dial, how big the dial is, and if there's a bezel and
like wrist shape, all that changes these factors.
Yeah.
But there's got to be some there.
You've caught me there. So I'd like to not regret like pieces I've bought, because clearly at that time it meant something to me.
Yeah.
But I think Naran would know, like, I've been having some mixed thoughts about my Omega Moon Swatch collaboration. So Omega Swatch collaboration. Yeah. I sort of fell into the hype and the bandwagon fans because I'm a huge fan of James Bond and things like that. So Omega always has a very special place in my heart, and it's definitely a watch I'd like to add to my collection.
Yep.
And I also have a big love for astronomy, and I'm fascinated with NASA and going to the moon landing, and Neil Armstrong and all of that as well. So
what's moon landing?
When Swatch and Omega did the collaboration, and you could get the Omega branding for a very affordable price, obviously it was a very enticing thing to me. At that point in time when I got it, it was sold out everywhere, and I went and paid above retail to some dude. I went and picked
I
it up.
remember when you got that too.
I remember that.
'Cause you were trying to get me to get one as well, I think.
Yeah. So I do this sometimes. Sometimes like I feel better when someone else gets it with me.
Send us the link too. Like, bro, can you buy this?
No.
It's like, hey, bro, do you want to get this with me? Because it takes some of the, guilt off.
Yeah.
Nah. But I genuinely want you guys to get a watch with me. I think it would be nice. Anyway, so that was, and then when I got it, I just found like that hype. It just wasn't there, like it came in a plastic box, very flimsy. The materials were not very high quality. And to be entirely honest with you, it's not befitting to have the Omega branding on it. So I've tried on a couple of occasions to get rid of it myself. But then, interestingly, I've now put a new strap on it, a brown leather strap. I've got the Jupiter, so it's got a nice beige dial. And I've fallen in love with it again.
Okay.
So I've now removed the listings from Facebook Marketplace, and I love the watch. And Nuran, you've seen photos of it. It really looks very nice on that new strap. And this is also a cool story of how like watch collection is a journey. Like, and you feel differently about a piece at different times, and it changes with the time. Yeah. So sometimes you just have to ride it out and see how you feel. Yeah.
Well, it's cool that you've grown back in love with it. Can't say the same about my Echo, but you'll see why.
I'm really keen to see it, yeah.
Last one then for you, Philip. Any other ones that you want to talk about, or there's another story behind?
I do want to talk about my G-Shock, but not necessarily because there's a story behind it, but just because how much I love it. I guess like I had, all these bracelet type watches, like the Seiko, these Tissot's and stuff, but like for my main lifestyle of like being active, going to gym, being at placement where, it's dirty, like you've bodily fluids and all this stuff. And I like to surf as well, even though I'm not very good. So I kind of wanted something that I could do for all of that, and not have to worry about it, not having to worry about getting it banged up and scratched and whatever. And so I started looking into G-Shocks, and then came across like the classic, their digital square, G-Shock Square. It's just black, and it has solar as well. So like, if I'm out,
oh, really?
It's pretty handy.
Yeah. So if like I'm surfing or whatever, it's charging at the same time. And the main thing was like when you're out there, you don't know how long you've been out there. And so sometimes you like just want to check the time. So I think that's what kicked off the idea of having to get one. And yeah, I just love it now because I can use it literally for everything. I can wake up with it, put it on, and not have to take it off until the end of the day, like shower, gym. It's just applicable for everything. Whereas if you wear something like this, I'm not going to wear it into the ocean.
Yeah.
I'm not going to wear it to the gym because it's going to get scratched everywhere. And yeah, I just wear it everywhere. I think it fits well for me. It's black, so it can go with like any outfit. So there's no particular story behind it, but I just love it. Like, I love it so much.
Nice.
So it's more handy than 99% of the watches that we
Literally, yeah.
100%. The versatility in that itself, it's amazing.
Yeah. I think, it's just, do it all watch. So
it's a good purchase. That's the thing. I mean, at the end of the day, I wear my Garmin pretty much every day.
Yeah.
So, look, the steps and like the versatility, I play different sports and things. It's good to be able to track.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with having those types of watches that, you feel are going to give you that extra versatility in different situations and things.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to break the bank either. It's like $150.
Yep.
You've got multiple world times in it if you want, like 5 different time zones. Like, it does what a $20,000 watch would do.
And more.
It's
got solar, man.
It's got solar, yeah.
No, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
And Rago, what about you for your last one?
For my last one, I just want to talk about like these 2 watches that I got for myself and Nuran recently. So they're vintage Seikos from the 1970s, so like late 1970s.
Yeah.
I came across this ad on the internet. This elderly grandpa, he was selling these 2 watches. It's a Seiko quartz watch, like one of the first quartz watches they made. It was like the tank style, so the Cartier style, one in gold and one in silver. and I messaged him, and I sort of also briefly told Nuran about it, and he was sort of on the fence. He was like, "Hey, yeah, that looks kind of cool," but he wasn't particularly interested. But so I went to see the watch in his house actually. So he gave me his address, and like he let me into his home, and he sort of showed me these watches. And he was a really, really lovely, like elderly man in his 80s. And I sort of said to him, "Hey, look, I really respect you like letting me into your home and stuff, but in this day and age, it's probably not a really good idea to let strangers like myself into your home, into where you live." And he was sort of like, "Oh, but thank you for saying that. I really appreciate it, but it would be very impersonal of me if I didn't let you into my home." He was just a gentleman, like men from back in the day who had strong values and just really lovely. So I saw the watches. They were both in really, really good condition. They're almost 50 years old. He'd put new batteries in them and they were running. And of course, I'll bring it and show it to you for the viewers as well. But so I just wanted to. I picked up both of them, and he was very happy about that because he was like, "Oh, if I sold one, it'd be hard for me to sell the other one," or something like that. And I was like, "Don't worry, sir. I'll get both of you. One for me, one for my friend." And he was very happy. He wanted cash, so I paid him in cash, and I gave it to Nuran. I picked him up from his placement. So the thing with me, right, when I get something for someone, I get too excited. And I need to tell them straight away. Like, I'm very bad at surprises. And I'd rather, like, give it to you sooner for you to be happier longer rather than make you wait. I don't know, I just have this weird theory. Anyway, so I picked him up from placement and I just gave him the watch straight away. And he was, like, pleasantly surprised or amused. And then I messaged the grandpa afterwards. I sent him a photo of both of us wearing it. And I thanked him for giving it to us. And
Tanked him.
Huh?
Tanked him.
Got him.
Tanked him, get it? Because it's a tank watch. Yeah, I get it. And then he sent me a lovely message, which I showed Nuran. He was like, if I was 60 years younger, I would have liked you to be my friend. Or he said something along those lines. And it was a very, very touching moment for me. Like, it's just, so that was a nice moment that I had. I bought something for my friend. I shared that moment with him. But I also had a nice moment with the person who sold it to me, who I respected and valued as well.
Yeah, man, that's cool. Was there any story on why he had the two? Did you ask him about that?
I briefly asked him about it. He told me that he bought it from a jeweler down south near Sydney, and he bought it and he never used it. He just tucked it away in a drawer.
Okay.
I never asked him why, but he also had a few other pieces in his collection. He had some of those what are they called? The nurses use them, like the hand clocks or
like a pocket watch?
Yeah, pocket watches. Yeah. So he had a few pocket watches as well. Before wristwatches became a thing, people used to have pocket watches. So I suspect he might have also been a watch collector himself. But I certainly believe it when he said he chucked it away in a drawer, because there's no way a 50-year-old watch would be in unmarked condition on the dial, and the bracelets were in pretty good nick as well. So I thought it was pretty cool, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's nice that you got one, and it's nice that you got another one for a friend. So again, something that's actually meaningful. And there's that story behind it. Now you met this gentleman, and you guys have had an experience together. So yeah, that's a really cool one.
It's a cool story. Cool. For me, anyway.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then what's next on the watch collecting journey? So you're waiting, hopefully, in a year or two.
Yeah.
For the AD to give you a call.
Yeah, that is ideally next.
Yeah.
But obviously, having that urge, you kind of like ask yourself whether, maybe when I finish this year, should I get something to commemorate that, or just
we're gonna find
excuses to make an occasion for yourself, right?
Yep.
Like, you can if you want to. But there are other things I look at. Like, I really like Tudor as well as a brand, and they're, you can get incredible pieces for, like a third of the price of a Rolex.
Yep.
So you can get like a Black Bay for $6,000. And sometimes I think like, should I just do that maybe at the end of this year? But then I come to reality and I'm not working. So, but yeah, I think the next thing will hopefully be the graduation watch, and then from then on, it's going to be dangerous because I'll be working again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to control myself again.
That's the trouble.
Yeah.
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 How many watches do you guys have?
So
total?
so 3 that I brought. This one 4, 5. I think I have about 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Including the one I got for you. Or?
Oh, maybe 7 actually. Yeah. So
Yeah.
7. Yeah. 7. So I have a couple. I have a couple of Timex watches as well, which are really cool actually. I think they're pretty cool. Yeah.
What's your last count?
I've got about like 10 or 12, but like not all of them are like wearable or in rotation or anything. Some of them are from like 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Some of them are my grandparents' watches that I just sort of keep in the collection. So daily use rotation, probably 7 or 8 that I'm able to wear and rotate, but then the rest are all sort of collectible or historical sort of pieces. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not as many as you think, Ethan. Thank you very much.
It isn't. It's way less than I. It's way less.
I'm trying to see if he's telling the truth or not.
Count them up.
We'll go home and check.
Yeah, I'll send you a message. You can.
Yeah. And there's something beautiful about, like, you say, where you did spend within your means, and you're like, yeah, looking back, crap, it'll take you back to those times where I was studying and I just started out as a doctor, all those things.
Yeah.
And then it can take you back, and it
that
means
spot.
something because that's what you could afford at the time.